Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Guildmaster. Guildmaster is for 2 to 4 players, in which each person is going to take over an Adventurer's Guild. As they run the Adventurer's Guild, they're going to build it up. They're going to build like training facilities within it, stables. They are going to recruit bigger and better adventurers, and they're going to send those adventurers out on contracts to earn their guild fame and money. Contracts could be something as mundane as blessing an amulet or clearing some rubble, or later on, as you get bigger and better adventures, you can send them out for really big contracts, like attacking big giant ravaging bands of marauders or dragons or things like that. So it's everything that's a staple of high fantasy. This is a game, however, of economy. You're going to be trying to leverage the money that you make and turning that money into improving your guild to the point where you're constantly churning through fame, which is your victory points. After you play through 9 rounds, you will figure out who's ever got the most points, and then they will be the most renowned adventurers guild in the kingdom. Game's a heck of a lot of fun. It's got some reveal moments or things. If you watch my videos, you know I'm a big fan of that, and I'm a big fan of actually trying to outthink other people at the table, because you're directly competing for all of those things that I mentioned. You're directly competing to build up your guilds. You're directly competing to recruit those adventurers. You're directly competing for those contracts. There's some wonderful negotiation aspects of the game as well, something I also really enjoy. So no big surprise, I really enjoyed the game. Well, let me show you how the game is played. We'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Guildmaster, and before I dive in and show you how the game is played, there's one thing I should specify before we go any further. So each player is actually given one of these screens, and these screens are actually really well made, and they're huge and they're sturdy and they stand up and they actually go around your order section of the board. One of the things that's awesome is that they actually have tells you what all the little icons do over here. And this is really indicative of games from Good Games. They really make sure that their games are accessible and easy to pick up. But so then you have it shows the round phases. It tells all the different orders and actions. It gives you all this information, so you don't have people digging through all the cardboard tiles. They can just see the stuff right there. But anyway, so that's going to go over where your orders are. I don't have that in place obviously for the video, just so you can see everything, but there's a reveal phase where you lift this up and you show everybody what you chose for your orders. So just wanted to make sure you knew that did exist, and what you can expect. Alright, so you set up the game. Each player has a guild upgrade board, which everybody can see. They have the order board that you're going to hide to do your actions. And each person is going to get a deck of cards that is going to have cards that will tell you for a build action, cards with A, B, C, D, E that represent the A, B, C, D, E, F of the different adventurers that you can hire for your adventurers guild, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, there's the F for the letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that are going to represent the different contracts that you're going to have available for when you play the game. All right, so the way this works is that to begin the game, each person is going to be dealt a standard set, and these are actually in the rule book. They say these are each person gets a certain set of adventures. This isn't randomly given. These sets are specifically made, and so you have your starting 4 novice adventurers, and these are the people that are going to be the start of your adventurers guild. The second thing you get is that you're going to get 1 starting upgrade. You always want to choose an upgrade that is going to be accessible and usable by your adventurers. Adventurers have these little skills off to the side, and what that tells you is how many dice you're going to get to roll, as long as their abilities match up with the action that you're taking. So if you were to send these two on a contract that needed to roll that relied on this to be the successful symbol, they would have a total of 4 dice to do that. If this person went by themselves, they'd have 3 dice to do it. Over here for the contract, like if these two, if they went for a blue contract, they would have 3 total dice for. Now, what you can get though is you can get these little improvements that you can have, as you can see, 4 starting upgrades, and you have the basics of like the stables and mess hall and so forth that are going to be there already. But what you're going to be doing then is taking, like, if you get one of these for free, so I'm going to take this so we can improve our blue just a little bit. And what this is, either this side or that side, and you pick which one. This allows you to re-roll 2 dice when you have the library, and this one allows you to change 1 die to a 6. I like having to be able to change 1 die to a 6, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And so now I have the library in that spot. Alright, so also you're going to be given a starting hand of contracts. And so what you're going to do is you're going to look at these contracts and you're going to pick 2 of them. One of them you're going to keep as a private contract that you can possibly process on your turn, and one is going to be placed into the contracts area over there, which is going to be accessible for anybody to possibly use. So, like looking at these, like they'll tell you like what it is, what the rewards are. It's gonna be 3 fame and 2 coins, and it has little bonuses like take 1 coin from another guild if you succeed. And these are the target numbers depending upon what you're going to use to try to beat it. So I liked these 2. I actually looked at these already. So I have missing person. I have those blue, adventurers that are good. So I think I want, and this one has choose an adept deck, which is like an adept like adventurers. You can see there's adepts right there, there, and there. Choose an adept and reveal the bottom card. You may immediately recruit that adept for the current cost of the coin in your treasure, discard it. And here you have injured soldier. If you may choose another guild to gain 2 fame. If you do, gain 1 fame. Otherwise, choose a guild to lose 1 fame. Well, I want to keep this one. I want that to be my private contract, so maybe I can do that. And I'm going to put this one out there because possibly I can do that. So the other players are going to do that as well. They're going to keep one and they're going to place it. I'm just going to, and then the ones that you don't do are going to be shuffled back into this deck. And I'm just going to, put these down. I'm not going to, go through one by one. And so each one puts one of these contracts out. And we're going to turn them over here just a little bit. And those are going to be the ones that are available. All right. We are also, now at this point, we are going to take and we're going to flip over the top adventure for each one of these decks. And these are going to have, increase, because these are like the heroes and the legends obviously are going to have bigger and better things. You can't just immediately go for a hero. You have to have an adept adventurer before you can get a hero. Likewise, you have to have a hero before you can go for a legendary adventurer. So there is a progression that you have to go through to handle that situation. Also, if you notice that these are going to have like slight, little better, increase in skills. Your Owain the Scoundrel has these increased skills. Also has, if your guild rolls the exact amount needed to complete a contract, you double the coin reward. So he's got a cool little ability. And plus he's just going to give you 3 fame as soon as he joins your guild. So it's some cool little things that you can do there. I actually, going back to my original 4, there was some special abilities. Let's take a look. So if your guild would wander instead of recruiting an adept, recruit the top face down card instead. So that's actually kind of a cool ability. Let's go this one. It says action phase, when this adventure completes a contract alone, gain 2 coins. So that's also a cool ability as well. And she could possibly do adventures with that 3 skill. Just a little added bonus that they're able to pull that off. Alright, so after you've set up and everybody's got their guild rolling, what you're going to do now is each player is going to take a look at the options that are available. Oh, and we didn't turn over the contracts yet. Alright, so let's just flip these over. Obviously, we know the one, which is the Heal the Injured Soldier. We know that one already exists because it's out there. Let's just take a look and see what we got here. We got Fence Goods, Solve a Riddle, Perform at a Festival, and Bless Amulet. Now, some of these had bonuses, obviously, like as I said, they give you a little bonus, but some of them have boons, where like if you succeed at these and you complete them, it's like you may add this card's dice to one spirit skill check and then discard this card. It's like if you were to complete the Bless Amulet, you get to hold on to this, and because it's a boon, and it would stay with you until you invoked the ability of it. This is a nice little added bonus to things, and that's kind of like the way this game appeals to me in a lot of ways, because there's all these little tiny like additions to different cards, different skills, different abilities, things that break up the normal process of the game. And I always like games that have these little variable powers and quirks or whatever. Alright, so let's do some order plotting. Now, I'm going to actually cheat a little bit, and I'm going to do 3 total orders, because technically there's a 4th type of order. Well, you know what, I'll just do all 4. But normally, as you notice, that because we have a stables level 1, we can only do 2 orders per round. So let's just pretend that we are able to do 4 orders. And I'll explain how you actually can do more orders here in just a little bit. Hint, it's building more stables. But, alright, so the big thing is that you're going to survey the board, you're going to determine what actions you wish to take. And the big thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at your different cards, looking at the different things that you can do, and you're going to be taking different actions. So this is a build action. So when you do a build action, you place, and if you want to do it first, and here's a hint, if you're going to do a build action, sometimes it's best to do it right away, because as people take build actions, you'll notice that as you buy builders, the cost for the builders is going to climb and climb and climb. So you're going to hopefully be one of the first to build, because if you are, you're going to get your builders cheap. That being said, if you're going to build, one, you have to send an adventurer along with to attempt to do it. So we might have a situation where we could, like we're going to look at our adventures and think about what we're going to be doing. And the reason why you send an adventurer is because if they're in conflict with somebody, they will do a dice off. So I want to send somebody who's going to be able to roll some dice. I'm going to send Kasun. Because I can be using him for anything else this round, and I will just go ahead and he's going to go to his build, and I want to, possibly, maybe I want to build bigger stables. If I want to build stables, you will see that there are 2 builders there. Well, that's going to take a lot of my money, so I don't want to do that. Actually, you know what, I just want to build, like, possibly build like a theater, or any of these smaller upgrades. And you notice that has the 1 build icon in that bottom right. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to send him with 2 coins, and he's going to go there and he's going to attempt to hire a builder. All right. So for my second action, I'm going to try to recruit somebody. Now, when you recruit somebody, you have to send the person that's going there to recruit with the minimum amount of gold to do it. Now, to determine how much it costs to recruit an adventurer, you're going to look at the different locations. And you're going to look at this number. So here we have a 5 and a 6, 7 and 4, and so on and so forth. Now you can see there is a half moon and a full moon. You'll also notice that the round counter has a half moon and a full moon. You begin the game with a half moon, and you're going to flip it as it goes. 3, 6, and 9 are blood moon phases, and I'll talk about those more here after a little bit. But just keep in mind that because it's a half moon, I have to pay half moon prices to hire an adventurer. In this case, really the only one I can afford, if I'm going to do a build action there, is going to be hiring Owain. So I'm going to hope that I can get him. I am going to go ahead and I place the letter A on my order 2. I would give him the rest of my money because I have 5 coins, and I'm going to send an adventurer along to do that. Now, looking at my adventurers, I am going to send Khan the guard to attempt that action, and they're going to go along like so. All right, so the next action I'm going to do is I want to try to do that injured soldier mission that I had. So that's number 1. So I'm going to take my number 1, and I'm going to place that on there. And now I'm going to send Salael, the pilgrim, because she has 3 dice in spirit, and it is a spirit thing. So I'm going to go ahead and place that there. So hopefully, she'll be able to do that contract, and I'll be able to succeed, and I'll get the rewards for that. Now, normally, like I said, having 4 orders is not going to happen because you need to have the end level of stables to do it. And I should mention that whereas there are plenty of the second level of these larger things. There are, so everybody can have them because there's 4 of them and you can only build one. For each one, there's a level 3 building, but only 1 level 3 building. So if you want to get that, you've got to make sure that you time it right and be able to snag it. But the last action you can do is just called a wander. And when you wander, you just randomly go off. You're going to roll some dice and hopefully get some sort of reward. Or you can attempt your private contract, and that's why I saved Nairi for last, because she can attempt this, and especially probably unlikely for her to do it, so I probably won't attempt it because it takes 12 and it's just her herself. She gets 2 dice. I would have to roll a 6 to succeed, but you can send them off. You can always send them off to just wander the countryside. You can roll a couple of dice and hopefully you can get some sort of reward for doing so. I'll talk about that in just a little bit as well. All right, so the big thing is that when everybody reveals. So now after you pick your orders, you pick up the player board and you reveal the action. And what you're going to be worried about is the fact that there might be somebody who is going to challenge you for that particular action. Now, if nobody did this, I would just, spend my two coins that I spent there, and Kassoon would go ahead, hire that builder, and then you use that builder immediately. In this case, what I could do is I could just get another library, and I could guarantee, because I could make both dice 6s, and I can guarantee doing that. But I'm not going to do that. I want to diversify. I'm going to get a Wayne there pretty soon, and I'm going to get a 3 charm. So I want a theater. I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to actually take it for 2 rerolls. You'd build that, you'd cash it in, and plus you'd get a fame for building it. You can see that is up there on the front. And there is obviously the scoring chart that goes around the board, and you're going to increase your fame as you gain those things. I should mention that you can build these larger octagons, and but these are like end level scoring. So it's like Architect's Lodge. For each large upgrade level, you gain 2 fame. Here's the Vault. You gain 1 fame for each 5 coins. So, and these are for everyone to look at. And if you can build those, they're going to obviously give you some end game points if you can plan for that. Now, and I'm going to say, if there's a conflict for you and another player to use the builder, this goes pretty much the same for everything except for contracts, which is slightly different. And I'll talk about that also in just a little bit. But what happens is you're going to have a dice off with the people. So you're just going to look at one skill. You're going to, like if 2 people wanted to use the builder at the same time, you would roll, and whoever wins that roll off will be able to take precedence over the other person. And that's only if there's multiple people in the same round. So like the first order, if there's multiple people wanting to use the builder in the first order, then you would have that problem. If I would have lost, I wouldn't have sent him with enough coins to actually complete it, and I would have to have him go off and wander. You always get to wander, no matter what. So if you are unable to do the action, you can still wander off. Also, you have a situation where if you didn't spend the coins, you take the coins and put them right back in your treasury. So if he had to leave and go wander off, instead of doing a build action, he doesn't spend the money or anything like that. You get it back. All right, so recruiting works pretty much exactly the same. If you're in conflict, and this you'd be surprised because you wouldn't think, okay, there's several different adventurers available. You have to pick the same order, number, and also pick the same person. But one, if you don't reveal the next adventurer so if Owain got grabbed in the first turn, there wouldn't be anybody there for me to actually recruit. I would have to send Khan off to wander and do so. If there's nobody there that wants him at the same time, I spend my money, I get to take him, put him in my hand. The other thing is that if somebody else went for Owain and they bid more money than me for them, then they would get Owain. There would be no roll-off. The only time you roll off and have a conflict is if both of you went for the same person and offered up the same amount of money to hire him. And then you would gain that. Now, as I said, these are the adept level and these are the heroics, and these are the legendaries. In order for you to get a heroic, you have to have, you have to have an adept level. In order for you a legendary, you have to have a heroic level. So you have to kind of build up to those. All right, so now after you have gone through like that, after everybody's done their thing, and mind you, you can do a build in the second time, you can do a contract in the second time, if and any time, obviously build, if the cost for the build is too much, if the hero you wanted is gone, if the contract you wanted to grab is gone, then you have to wander. You can't switch the target that you had. All right, so here we have Soleil, and I sent them to do quest number 1. And so if nobody else did that, if I can go on my own, now I would just grab 3 dice, and I'm going to be trying to roll a 9 or above in order to defeat this. I'm pretty confident that on 3 dice I can get 9. And I did. I got 10. So I would succeed. I would take this. I would get this bonus. I can choose another guild to gain 2 fame. If I do, I gain 1. Otherwise, you can make somebody lose 1. I can decide if I want to be a jerk or be helpful, I guess. And then I'm going to get 2 coins. I'm going to get 3 fame. And I remind you, like when Soleil says, when this adventure completes a contract alone, I'd gain extra 2 gold. So for that action, I would gain 4 gold, and I would gain 3 fame. So that's how contracts work. This one does not have a boon, so you just discard this after it was done. So if somebody tries to do the same contract as you, the difference between this and other conflicts are each guild that has sent somebody to go do that contract, you then have to try to decide if you want to do the contract together cooperatively, or if you want somebody to go off on their own to do it. So if you do it cooperatively, that means that everybody gets the fame that's involved. So you all, it succeeded, everybody's going to get it. However, any rewards that are gained from it have to be dispersed among the different guilds, and you have to come up with a way to, like a negotiation to do it. If you discuss it, and nobody can come up with a way to have a good negotiation for it, then it's not going to work. But if you have a situation where you think you have a good negotiation, and you've decided that everybody has one of these voting tokens, they'll put it in their hand, and then they'll reveal it. If everybody chooses green, then you've agreed to it, and the negotiation is binding. Whatever you've decided to, as far as the divvying up of the rewards, is at that point completely and totally binding. And also, you can sweeten the pot. I mean, you can say, I'll give you, a coin for my treasury if you'll let me get this out of the deal, or whatever. When you replace the contracts, you actually get to pick the level of the contract that you want to replace it with, whether it is common, heroic, or legendary. You can replace it with whatever you want. And so, like, if you might want to be the person that chooses the new contract that gets placed. So, there's other options available there. But if anybody holds out and says, I don't agree to these negotiations, they can still attempt to do the contract by themselves. But for every die they're going to roll to complete that contract, you increase the difficulty by 1. So, for example, let's say it's this Blessed Amulet, and we have a person that has, maybe in Soleil was going to do that, and I was like, I'm going to do it on my own. Screw you guys, I'm going to try it. It normally would be a 7, but if I had Soleil doing it, I would add 3, because she gets to roll 3 dice, I would add 3 to the difficulty to do it. So instead of being a 7, it'd be a 10. But if I can pull it off, and I can roll well enough to do it, then I would get the win, right? And I would be able to claim it before anybody else. So that's the difference between when there's a conflict when you're dealing with contracts. If more than one person goes into the same thing at the same time, you have to come up with some way to negotiate, or stick it on your own and hope for the best. All right, so the last thing is wandering, as I said. If you can choose to wander at any time. If you have an action, you're like, I don't want to do that, I'm going to wander instead. That's your option. You definitely can do that. Wandering, you either can try to satisfy a contract of your own. So like if I wanted to take a gamble and I roll her 2 dice and I get to take, I get to roll these 2 dice and then change 1 to a 6. So I'm basically hoping I roll 1 6. And I didn't, so I'd fail at the contract. But I could try to do that. Or what you can do is you can just roll the dice that you have and you can hope for some sort of like wandering reward. Just going to show you the rules here so you can just see it. So the wandering rewards are basically if you throw less than 10, which I did, you just get a coin, 10 and 19, 1 coin and 1 fame, and so on and so forth. Basically, like 40, 50, and so as you climb the ladder, you get like whatever like the tens digit is. That's how much fame and coin you'll get just for wandering the lands, doing good, and bringing a little bit of coin, a little bit of fame back with you. Now, wandering isn't going to work really well in comparison to a lot of like the heavier contracts as you get later, but it can be a way that you at least you can do something on your turn instead. All right, so after all that is done, after everybody's done their orders, you're going to go through a reset phase. You're going to clear your order board, so you're going to wipe your order board off and take everything back in your hand. You're going to receive whatever income you get from your bar, and then you're going to reset the builder track. Whatever this ended up at, you're going to put it back down. Also, if you happen to be on the blood moon, remember I told you about the blood moon? You're going to if you hit the blood moon, you discard all the face of adventurers and contracts on the board, and then you draw and place common contracts face down onto every contract space. If no common contracts can be drawn, then you place heroic ones, and if there's no heroic ones, you place legendary ones. And then, in ascending fame order, each guild draws a common private contract that they can keep in front of them. You flip the top, because remember if we had hired this person, and let's say somebody hired this one as well, you would then flip the top ones for any of them that you normally would reveal. And notice how this was Blood Moon, you would have wiped all of them off, and then you'd reveal. But if those 2 have been hired, you're just going to flip those over, and then you move and flip the round token. So you just do that. So now it is a full moon, and then that'll adjust the prices that you have available. The game continues on until the final round, and after you get to the final round, you can then turn in. You can get whatever extra points you're going to get from the different big buildings you created, and whoever has the most points will then win the game. It's one of those things where you have to have a really good combination of both building up your infrastructure in your guild, finding the right adventurers, going after the right contracts, and finding a way to have money, because the money is like the most important thing in the game. The money will allow you to outbid other people. The money will allow you to get different adventurers and upgrade your guild. And it's just basically coming up with a good economic engine, but also making good and wise choices when in the right order that you need to do, in comparison to also trying to get a deal here and there and not overspending for things that you maybe don't possibly want. I'm a big fan of bidding games. I'm a big fan of reveal moments, and I'm a big fan of the whole I think that you think that I think that you think kind of situations going on with games like this. So I knew I was going to like it. But let me talk more about that in my final thoughts. Came down a little weird. Okay, so Guildmaster, there you go. I've already kind of gone over the things that I really like, but if you've never watched any of my videos, I'm a big fan of reveal moments. Anytime you have a situation where you're revealing anything, you're pulling up that board, you're revealing your hand to see which side of the coin that you have, that's a moment where everybody at the table is glued to the action. You are looking at each other, you're looking at what other people have. This game has that moment where you pick it up and you know what you're doing, and you're quick looking. Did anybody else do build at the same time as me? Does anybody else have try to get that quest, that contract before me? So having to figure out the timing of the different things that you want to do and determining what's the best way to do it. Oh, I just love that. There's that moment, that intense moment of uncertainty and worry and tension that you pick up, and then you hear people yeah, you're all excited because you picked right, or you're like, oh, dang it, you totally screwed me. Moments like that, get people excited, get people jazzed, get people interested in what's going on at the table. And I really enjoy things like that. It just has those sorts of things. It has the outwitting of the I think that you think that you think that I think. It's like, oh, he probably thinks I really want that adventurer, but actually, I'm going to do build before. Or, I think he's going to go build real early, so I'm going to go build, and I'm going to make sure I put a lot of adventurers that are going to be able to beat him because we're going to have a roll-off. Things like that I really like. I just dig all the little tiny quirky little things. I should have mentioned that like a lot of these higher level ones, they have events on them which will actually affect the game, and these are really important. Like as you climb the ladder and get to the higher level quests, those are going to be really big things that are going to change things. Like here, I'll just find one event. So it's event at the start of the action phase. The guilds with the least number of order spaces assigned to contracts gains 5 fame. I mean, that's like, oh, it's something that affects the game and changes it up. I like games that do that. I like games that give me pause, give me other different things to consider. If this was just some straightforward churn out the victory points game, it wouldn't elicit the same response that it does for me. Whereas, I don't know which contracts are going to get fulfilled. I don't know which ones are going to succeed, which ones are going to fail, which ones are going to be taken. I don't know, because there's tons of these. I don't know which ones are actually going to pop up in any given game. And I have to react to the ones that show up. I have to react to the different abilities of the heroes that I get, which ones of those are being used, all kinds of stuff like that that just make the game a lot of fun to play and make the game different each time you play it. And that's obviously the thing that's going to, one of two things brings a game back to my table over and over again. One, variable of play, or variety of play, I should say. And two, actually having the people being the mechanisms of the game forcing that interaction, forcing that negotiation, forcing my actions directly impact the other people at the table, instead of just everybody kind of sitting back and doing their own thing, and then at the very end figuring out who won, who did the best. There's nothing particularly wrong with games like that. They just don't really excite me like games like this. So if you're looking for a game that has some hard-edged economy, some negotiation, some difficult choices and reveal moments, and plus a really cool theme as well, I strongly suggest you check out Guildmaster. I think you're going to like it a lot. If you have any questions about the game, by all means, ask away. I'm happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, I'm the Undead Viking, telling you guys out there, and girls, to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Be the most positive person you can be. Be the best person you can be. Be the best person you person? Be the best you that you can possibly be. Be the person that people want to be around, and attach yourself to the positivity and remove the negativity and toxic things out of your life. I guarantee you're going to be a happier and more well-adjusted and more smiley person if you do so. So until next time, you be awesome, all right? Awesome.